Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of The Talk, an evening with a celebrity from BMC Global Live. This evening, as always, we have an eminent personality at the BMC studios, an esteemed guest who is part and parcel of Bahrain's political, social and cultural milieu, a member of Bahrain's Shura Council, Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie. Good evening, Doctor, and welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you very much for honoring us with your presence.
It's my pleasure indeed.
Well, to begin this evening, let me ask you to tell us a little bit about your journey in life, which has brought you to this esteemed position of being a senior Shura Council member.
Well, it's been, I must say, a long journey. It started since my childhood. I was educated in Bahrain, in Manama in particular, and after finishing my secondary school, at the time we had no higher education in Bahrain.
Okay.
So I had to undergo a sort of another education by taking a teaching job. And because of my interest in English, I was chosen to teach the children English language. After that, I had to proceed to higher education. I went to the University of Cairo, where I read English literature. After spending nearly 5 years in Egypt, I had to find my way back to Bahrain for 2 years. And then I had to fly to the United Kingdom. This time I went to the University of Leeds, where they have they say, one of the best schools of English. I spent 2 years there, obtained my master's degree. And then I had to come back to Bahrain again. Spent another 2 years working with the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs at the time. And after that, I had to apply for another higher study degree. This time, I went to the University of London, School of Oriental and African Studies, where I did a thesis on the development of Arabic drama, but in English, of course. It wasn't in Arabic at all. This took me again back to Bahrain, this time to what we had, the men's teacher training college. I spent 2 years again, and after that I was transferred to the Ministry of Information, where I held the position of the Director of Culture and the Arts. After maybe 6 or 7 years, I moved to another department within the ministry, which was the Department of Publications. Then I was fed up with the civil service, and I had to find my way around for another venue in education again. This time I moved to the Bahrain Institute of Banking and Finance. There I ended up being the head of academic and executive education. With the BIBF, we had various programs, and we were affiliated with a number of universities, both in the United Kingdom and the United States. After 15 years with the BIBF, I had to find my way back home and rest. But His Majesty the King wouldn't let me rest. He appointed me to the Shura Council.
His Majesty knows your potential, your talent.
I think he did. I'm very, fortunate indeed.
Yes, that's a beautifully rich journey, Doctor, which you summarized into a nutshell, but then that's loaded. That's really loaded.
It was really a nutshell, I must say.
Yeah, I know. But I'm interested in your love for literature. Were you from childhood interested in literature? Did you really want to do literature?
Yes, I must say so, because I think languages and study of languages was in my veins. And studying English literature, I thought would be the way to not promote myself, but to make me more interested in the English language, which I loved very much at the time. And because of the duality of knowing languages, I was a polyglot of Arabic and English, I had to develop an interest in translation from both Arabic and to English. As you know, I had published a number of books.
Yes, yes. Several books, and
yes.
that too. And also you've translated several classics
Yes,
into Arabic.
indeed.
And that is a rich contribution to the kingdom's cultural and literary front.
The classics of English, due to my studies in English literature, I must say. But because of my interest in the drama in particular, I had recently published a tragedy of Al-Hallaj by the famous poet and playwright Salah Abdul Sabur. It was a landmark in Arabic drama and literature, as a matter of fact.
So you always had an interest in reading, I'm sure, in books.
Naturally, of course.
Okay. And both Arabic and English, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Both. And in your CV or in your profile, I came across one thing which is interesting, George Orwell's Animal Farm. I think you
Yes.
have translated.
Yes.
What kind of audience did you have in mind when you ventured into translations like that, of classics like that?
Actually, Animal Farm was the first attempt for me to translate English literature. And Animal Farm itself had many connotations, you know. It's symbolic, it's an allegory.
Yes. It's a classic allegory.
Classical work of art by a very diligent newspaper man, actually.
Yes. Yeah.
As you know, George Orwell
George Orwell.
worked in the press and in India in particular. So, and it is one of the famous works, you know, to be taught for youngsters and beginners of English literature. And that was the signpost that I gathered from Animal Farm and had to translate it to the Arab audiences,
Okay.
which was well received. By the way, mine was not the first version
Okay.
of Animal Farm. There were many, and after that there are also many. Every year there is a new version of Animal Farm.
Right. Do you still get time to read, Doctor?
Oh yes, trying to.
Okay. And what is the latest that you're working on? I know you have several publications to your credit, several books, both original and translations. But what are you working on currently?
Currently, I'm working on an autobiography by a very diligent, hardworking person in Bahrain by the name of Abdurrahman Jawahiri.
Jawahiri,
Yes,
the former GPIC and the current
Babco
CEO.
CEO,
Okay. Right. Interesting. Interesting.
And apart from that, there is a novel by a Bahraini author, which I'm working on at the moment as well.
Okay.
Jawahiri's book is still in the press.
Oh, so it's completed. It's
After
going to
it's been completed,
Okay.
and it's a matter of time before it is out. You know.
Great. Okay. Doctor, coming back to your position as a Shura Council member, as you, though with a laugh, you said the king did not let you rest. Of course, His Majesty has chosen the right people to the upper house of Bahrain's chamber. and you are there. Tell us more about the role of a Shura Council member and how do you reflect on your contributions?
Let me just give you a very brief idea about our parliamentary system.
Yes, please.
We have what we call bicameral system.
Yes.
We have the lower house, which is the House of Representatives. And these are elected by the people of Bahrain. And we have the upper house, which is fully appointed by, members are fully appointed by His Majesty the Queen. It's very similar to what you may call the House of Lords in the United Kingdom. But our major and basic mission in the upper house is to vet through all the laws that have been legislated by the lower house that we had to pass before taking them up for ratification by His Majesty the King to become a law as such.
So that's a procedure as such.
That's a procedure, the normal procedure of both the houses, you know. The lower house have many ambitions and they enact so many laws. Most of them are accepted, you know, by the Shura first and then referred to the government for drafting into a full-fledged law.
Right. Oh, I just know that you started with the Labor and Social Development Ministry, then with the Information Ministry. So you had solid experience in the government system before coming into this position of a lawmaker or a senior legislator. How do you look at your contributions in the past terms? How many terms have you been on the Shura Council?
I've been at 2 terms.
The 2 terms.
Each term of 4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
So this is your second term, right?
Yes, the second term.
How do you reflect on your contributions? As, of course, the Shura is also serving the public, isn't it? Though not directly as the parliament, but definitely you're also people's voice. How do you reflect on your contributions?
Well, let me tell you of the setup of both chambers. The main work in both chambers is done in the what we call the committees and subcommittees.
Okay.
Apart from the preliminary session, which is held only once a week, but most of the time, members of both chambers are working hard in committees to refer to laws and enact laws and what have you. I worked on 2 committees. In the first term, I was on the Committee of National and Foreign Affairs Committee, which is one of the very important ones in the chamber. And the next term, I was on the Legislative Committee, which is also
equally important. So these 2 were really important is not the word, isn't it? It was closely associated with public welfare, especially the legislation, and of course the other one being diplomatic.
Yes, the first one being very diplomatic. We had to go through agreements.
Yes, between countries or bilateral relations, basically.
Mainly.
Okay. So are you happy with your both the terms?
I must say I am.
Okay.
And I hope I had, like many of my colleagues, have contributed to the development of legislation in Bahrain.
Great.
But that has to be seen by the press, by people like yourself, to judge us.
Of course, we see the good work that is being done by all of you. And this evening with us on The Talk, an evening with a celebrity, it is Bahrain Shura Council member, Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie. On that note, let's take a short break. Welcome back to The Talk, an evening with a celebrity from BMC Global Live. And with me this evening is a very esteemed veteran Shura Council member, Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie. Doctor, coming back to the chat again, we were just discussing about the role of parliamentarians and Shura Council member in the country, and now we are at the threshold of the national elections.
Mm-hmm.
It's so beautiful to see all the billboards out there, and the fire of the election is out there. You can feel the texture of it everywhere.
Yes.
How do you look at this election process? You've been in the scene, born a Bahraini, born in Manama, growing up, seeing, and right from the time of the democratic process started, you must have seen the elections, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Tell me about how has it changed over the years?
It had great change and tremendous interest on the part of the candidates and the electors as well. For I think this year we had more than 550 candidates or aspiring personnel.
It is the highest number.
Yes.
It's a record number of,
Actually, it's the elections is for both the parliament and for the
municipal council.
Municipal councils, You know, as you know, we have 4 governors. And from now until November 12, Bahrain will be very busy.
Yes.
With all sorts of billboards, all sorts of talks about, pioneering candidates and.
Yes. Was it always like this? What is your oldest memory of such elections? Was it different then?
Well, the most important thing or aspect about these elections that this year the interest on the part of the female part of the society. There are more women candidates than ever.
Yes, again, it's a record number of women.
Yeah, it's a record number, you see. And I hope that we shall have the right people with as many as females in particular, because to my mind, female constitute 51% of our society. So they have the right to be well represented.
Yes. Let's hope, because the number of women crossing 40, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's a big number. And that shows the interest, unlike in the past, isn't it?
Yes,
so
indeed.
They're self-motivated or with the support of the family. Many women have come forward to file their nominations. I was in the Northern Governorate during the nominations, and it was really nice to see a lot of women coming in.
Indeed. That shows also the interest in politics, For the past 20 years, and with His Majesty's charter,
National Charter,
life is changing in Bahrain. It's not as it used to be, and now I think it is highly developing too, with the leadership of His Royal Highness the Prime Minister. We have, as you know, now a very young cabinet.
Yes.
With new blood, if we may call them so.
But indeed, that is the face of Bahrain, and that is the future. And it's very interesting to look at the changes that's happening. But Doctor, tell me, having seen the country evolving, not only from the National Charter time, but even before that, how do you look at the progress of the small island kingdom in the region? We are the smallest of the GCC nations, but
That's
then
true.
when we look into history, Bahrain has so many credits to itself. We were discussing about women, be it education for women, pioneer in many aspects.
This is true.
How do you look at the development of this country?
Well, the whole development started with 2 major areas, to my mind, the most important: education and health services.
Yes.
Bahrain has been, pioneering in these 2 areas, and we went along a long journey in this. And luckily, we are what we are now. But the most important thing is the economic development of this little island. In the past, as you know, we depended on pearl fishing. Bahrain was the center of pearl trade,
Pearling.
as you know. From Bahrain, all the good pearls went first to Bombay. Bombay was the market, the international market for pearls, and from there it was distributed to all over the world. And I don't know whether it is good or bad, but with the Japanese developing cultured
pearls,
you know, the industry was really, you know, stabbed in the back. We call it that way.
But still, Bahrain pearls are Bahrain pearls. They still are priceless.
They are, you know, famous all over the world.
Yes.
And then I think, this little country, all tiny island in the Gulf, so another discovery of oil. Bahrain was the first to discover oil in 1932. But unlucky for Bahrain, maybe, or luckily, we did not, mainly due to the size of the country. We were the least producing oil country in the region. Our neighbors were much luckier than we are for many reasons. But still, we must thank our good star, you know, that Bahrain is what it is, what it was, and what it will be.
It will be.
I think we are aspiring for a beautiful, lovely, and how shall I put it, lucky future, inshallah, as we say.
Definitely. The country deserves it. The people, the Bahrainis, deserve it, because me and the community that I represent, expatriates, we're always ever so grateful to this beautiful nation and the leadership, the warmth with which it embraces not only people, cultures, and tradition. We have the very much awaited historic visit of the Pope next month.
Indeed.
We're waiting for it, you know.
Yeah, that takes us to one very important aspect about the island. Bahrain, although it is an island, it's meant to be secluded, but that's not the way it turned. Bahrain is the most open country to the outside world, most tolerant to all sorts of faiths on the island since time immemorial. And we are really, you know, very blessed by being so and recognized as such. Now the visit of His Holiness the Pope and the Sheikh of the Al-Azhar as well.
Yes.
That will meet two major religious institutions on Bahrain for the world to see who we are and what we are.
Indeed. It would be really projecting Bahrain's image to the world, and that would be a true replica for a person who has lived here for over 2 decades.
Yes.
It's really a happy moment.
Yes, indeed.
And with that, I would want you to know, what is your oldest memory about Manama? I think you're born in Manama, right?
I was born in Manama. In those days, we had no electricity, we had no running water.
Okay.
Life was very primitive, but people were happy, nevertheless.
Do you mean that people are not happy anymore?
No, I would say they are happy.
The simple ways, right?
But in many
simple
ways.
Joys, yes.
But content, you know, if you are content, that's only one source of happiness. And we had no problems, no social problems of any kind, let's see, which is, I think, for the benefit of the people of Bahrain. We are loving people. We don't have any phobia against strangers or foreigners. And people are most welcome to live with us and contribute to our success, if any.
Right. You just mentioned about the future of Bahrain, and yes, indeed, Bahrain is a blessed country, and the future would definitely be bright. But what in your mind or in your vision is the future for Bahrain? Where do you see the country 10 years from now or 20 years from now?
10 years from now, I think it will be even more highly developed. Now, if you go to Manama or to the newly developed urban areas, you will see the escape lines and skylines with high rises everywhere. And this is one of the signs of modern life, everywhere, In the past, people preferred to have their own little houses. Now, because of the lack of land, people live in apartments, in high rises, what have you. And there will be many, many more of these the years to come. Thing.
Right. And the COVID or the pandemic has been 2 years which brought in many changes globally, of course to Bahrain as well. And hats off to the kingdom, its rulers and the leaders and people. We braved it.
Yeah.
Bahrain braved it. How do you look at the past 2 years, both as an individual, a Bahraini, and a Shura Council member, on the challenges and how we overcame it?
Yeah. I think you rightly said we had a great challenge facing and confronting the COVID. But from the very start, from the first day, we were aware what we are going to have. And what we call the Bahrain team, led by His Royal Highness, the Prime Minister, people worked very hard, especially in the medical areas, to confront this epidemic. And luckily, the fatalities were not as much as in other countries. And thanks also to the healthcare, that people were immaculated with all sort of
vaccines that were available. Yeah, we were right there in the front.
Yes, indeed. We had first the Chinese thing, and then came Pfizer and other things. But luckily, thank God, we managed. But life is back to normal now.
Yes. By God's grace, we are slowly getting back to normal, and we are back to normal.
Yes, we are back to normal. And there were no close downs like in many countries, and some cities were completely blacked out.
Yes, at least we never had any such.
We never had anything of the sort. This is because of the awareness of the people, I think, Everybody was keen to wear masks and to have what we call
personal hygiene.
Hygienes and the injections that
The vaccination.
the vaccine they had to take, and that kept us, live and throbbing again.
And I think people, as you said, people had awareness and they were ready. It need not have to be forced on them. They rose up to the expectation.
Yes,
So
indeed.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, this COVID, to my mind, is just like plague. The whole universe, suffered from plagues, especially in the Middle Ages. And this is the modern age.
Modern age plague. Yeah.
Fortunately. But luckily it couldn't. I think people were misinformed. They didn't know how serious this COVID is. An epidemic is not an easy thing. It affects the lives of everyone, young and old. But luckily, now we have overpassed this stage.
Right. And I think credit goes to Team Bahrain. And part of Team Bahrain indeed is the Shura Council. And we have with us this evening one of the senior most and veteran members of the House, Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie. And on that note, let's take yet another break.
The 16th branch of Megamart and Macromart supermarkets in Bahrain has opened in Sahla. The best offers are available to the customers at affordable rates. Everyone is welcome. During and around the opening day, a variety of fish including salmon, meat and dairy products, roastery, frozen items, food and non-food items, groceries, fruits and vegetables, electronics, garments and ready-to-eat food items are available to the customers at affordable rates. Hearty welcome to all. Megamart and Macromart, your favorite shopping destination.
Welcome back to The Talk, an evening with a celebrity, a segment from BMC Global Live. And with me tonight is Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie, member of Bahrain Shura Council. So, Doctor, we come to the last segment of this chat. And in this segment, we would like to know a little more about you, the person. You indeed spoke about your interest and passion, which I know is literature.
Yes, indeed.
But allow me to ask you, which genre of literature is your favorite? Is it fiction, poetry, essays?
It's a drama, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
I like a drama.
Okay.
For many reasons, I don't know why. I had the good fortune, to study dramatic literature and to come to know great playwrights from Shakespeare onward.
Okay.
And that's what attracted me to this great art of a drama.
Okay.
This is a universal act.
Yes.
It all started long time ago in Greece with the classical form of drama and moved to Europe, Central Europe, and the rest of the world. And England was one of the major sites or centers of drama, especially during the Elizabethan age until now, and still it is. Drama, as you know, is an industry. It is not an entertainment, and it's for pleasure. Amazingly, the great cities of the world are great centers of drama.
Drama, yes.
Take New York, Paris, Moscow, drama is there. People cannot live without drama or music, as a matter of fact. Opera houses and theaters are flourishing of the world.
But how do you look at that genre in our part of the world, in this region, the Arab world?
The Arab world, well, drama started in the late 18th century and early 19th century, and was very much influenced by European drama. And the Napoleonic campaign had some sort of influence on the flourish of a drama in those days. When Bonaparte invaded Egypt, he brought a troupe mainly to entertain the French soldiers, not to introduce the drama to the country, but people were clever enough to see what sort of this new art is coming. And they began to copy it. See, we also can promote our heritage and could have our own theater. And this is how it started. It all began in the Levant. The first playwright came from the Levant and moved to Egypt. And from there it spread all over the world.
What about Bahrain?
Bahrain actually came to know drama with the advent of formal education. schools, as you know, will have to put on shows at the end of each year,
Yeah.
final year.
Okay.
And from there it moved from schools to the urban center, mainly to Manama and Muharraq, where people in clubs, the local clubs, drama were enacted and played. This is how it started. Now we have a number of semi-professional troops,
Yes, several of them.
several of them.
And you have been a part of several such entities. You've been heading clubs and associations, isn't it? The cultural milieu of Bahrain, that's also close to you, alongside your political and your academic backgrounds. How do you look at your social commitments? Are you still active in those areas?
Not
or-
as active as in the past, but let me tell you that my first civil service job was to promote the arts and theater in Bahrain.
Oh, okay.
This is how it came, you know.
Something which is close to your heart.
Indeed it was and still is,
Okay.
and I hope still will be.
Yeah, it will. It's nice to get to do a job that you love, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed.
Yeah.
And also while I was teaching, I had also to infiltrate drama in teaching the English language and what have you.
Okay.
That helped actually.
Right. Yes, drama is your passion, literature is your passion. Do you have any other hobbies other than writing and reading?
Yes, indeed, I have what they call the most intellectual sport in the world, chess.
Chess? Okay.
Indeed.
Okay.
And as you may know, this came and developed where? Nowhere but in India.
In India.
India had a great ancient civilization of the Indus Valley that spread all over East and West and influenced life. And luckily we had learned from Indian masters this game, this intellectual game of the mind, as they call it. And you may know that one of the great grandmasters who became the champion, world champion, was an Indian young man.
Yeah. And we even have a youngster very of late who made it to headlines.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing about chess, it is for all ages and all sexes. Everyone who can use a little of
Do you
this.
still play chess?
Yes,
Do you-
I do.
Okay.
But luckily these days, I play against this marvelous instrument that has been invented, chess on computers,
Online.
online,
Okay,
and
okay,
with the board
okay.
on the monitor, and I do enjoy it from time to time, I must say.
Right. Doctor, tell us about your family.
Well, I'm luckily married for quite a number of years, many, many years. And we have only one son, but now we have 2 grandchildren
Okay.
that cherish our life, a boy of 6 and a girl of 3. They, you know, enlighten our life, brighten our future, and we are really, you know, blessed and very happy for this.
God bless the beautiful family. Doctor, can I have your final remarks, your wrapping comments, please?
Well, this is, you know, as an inspiring citizen of Bahrain, I definitely, with many other people here, are looking for a brighter future. And those days, I hope, will not be very far. Indeed.
Yes. Great.
And again, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us. We at the Bahrain Media City are indeed proud. The team is really happy and proud to have hosted you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
On this episode of The Talk, an evening with a celebrity from BMC Global Live, it was Dr. Mohammed Al Khozaie, Bahrain's Shura Council member. Until we meet on yet another episode with yet another esteemed guest, this is Raji Unnikrishnan signing off. Good night. Doctor, thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure having you. Now we have a small token of appreciation. I would call upon Francis Kaidaratha, the chairman of Bahrain Media City, to hand over the memento. Please.
Pleasure is mine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you indeed.
Hope you enjoy it.
Thank you. Thank you for this token certificate. Thank you, and thank you for the tea.
The exclusive franchisee of Cochin Kala Bhavan in Bahrain, with over a decade of existence in Bahrain. Exclusive online regular classes have started for classical dances, music vocal, instrumental music, cinematic dance, Kathak, Zumba body fitness, karate and yoga, drawing, arts and craft, children's theatre. For more information, please call 3909 6845 3909 4806 3885 2397 or visit www.bahrainmediacity.com. Since 2006, Magnum Imprint have been offering high standards of quality with our professional team that delivers all your advertising and promotional requirements efficiently and promptly. For more details, please contact 39887088 or 33856330 or 33542530.